Not really. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6 o'clock. We'll go ahead and start this meeting, please. Call it to order. This time, I would ask that you would stand, and Brother Jack will have our invocation, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. I'd ask Commissioner Jacqueline if she would do that for us.
Let's pray together. Our divine Heavenly Father, we're so thankful that we're able to come together tonight in harmony and spirit together. We pray, Lord, that you would deliberate over this meeting and go in a real good fashion. And we pray for the nation of ours, Lord, throughout all the corners of the earth. And we pray for this city, Father, that it might put their trust in the Lord, that we might have good meetings together and it might go well tonight. Blessing said and done, all of these things we ask in Jesus' precious holy name. Amen.
Amen. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
This time I would ask the court if you please call the roll.
Granberry? Present. Here. Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mayor Bailey?
Here.
Blankenship? Here. And Mr. White?
Here.
All are present.
All are present, and we will officially call the meeting to order to carry out the business. First item is number 4, approval of correction of the minutes from the prior meeting of July 18th. All of you have received that. Any questions or comments about it this time?
There aren't any, Mayor. I read over them and they look fine. I make a motion to accept.
We've had a motion to accept and duly seconded. Further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like found that minutes have been approved. Item 5, awards presentation appointments. The mayor's appointment to Mount Pleasant Airport Authority. Those of you who were not here at our study session, I made that appointment in April on the letter that I had received from former member Michelle Williams. She had thought her term had expired in April and she duly resigned, and I appointed Mr. Justin Robinette to fill that position. As it turned out, she had been filling an unexpired term, and that term expired in June. So at this time I'm going to ask to reappoint Mr. Robinette. He'll be for a full 5-year term, and ask that you motion to ratify my appointment, please.
I'll make that motion.
No, it's been made. Is there a second?
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 6, completion review of any unfinished business from the prior meeting. Do we have any unfinished business?
Nope.
Not
No, we don't.
Okay. Item 7, monthly financial budget report, please.
Evening. We're continuing our year-end procedures, getting ready for annual audit, which will be conducted in the next few months. I have been in contact with the auditor, so that should be ongoing. We're required to have our books completed by August 31st, so therefore the final June numbers will be available for you at the September meeting. I think they indicated that maybe they might be ready for the August, but it takes a while longer to get all those finished. So it will be, they will be available for the September meeting, and the auditors will be presenting them their audit report at the December meeting. We continue to work toward getting our policies up to date. We included in the handbook, the employee handbook that you approved last month, is the new travel policy. We're working on getting some of the reports that we need to go along with those new policies implemented, and of course the fall is primarily when we have so much of our continuing education in various departments, so we're working, trying to get those ready for them as they start to go to those fall conferences. July is the first month for our new fiscal year. All the budget's been loaded in, and I think you have the July financials in front of you. And just kind of short synopsis of total revenues. We're 6.55% of the budget, which from July through about October is our lean month, with the exception of the water. With July and August is one of the hotter months, so there's more water consumed during those 2 months. So with that exception, the other funds, generally, the revenues are much less than early fall, late summer, early fall. The expenditures for the month, everybody's right on target. We did issue quite several blanket purchase orders. Some are doing them quarterly, some are doing yearly for some of the things that are spending, like when they go to the hardware store or things like that. We'll generally do a blanket purchase order and that they can use and to make those small purchases, day-to-day purchases, and memberships that sometimes come due without us even thinking about those. The community center expenditures were up during the July month. That was due to completion of the wall for the TCAT building. So that explains that excess fee. Also, the gas expenditures are up some, and I think we have been discussing, and maybe something we need to discuss is the possibility of maybe doing a rate study in the future. I've been noting the last couple of months that our cost of our gas seems to be going up, and just something we want to watch, try to keep, make sure we got a good handle and make sure that we are charging enough for those services we're providing. Our cash balances remain steady. General fund savings, checking and savings accounts total $1,880,000. The water still remains low, although it did improve by 17% for this month. And again, I noted July is one of the hotter months for the water, so that would explain that increase. The gas fund balances, excluding their customer deposit, is a little over $2 million. That's a good balance. Have any questions?
Are you keeping separate, I'm sure you keep it separate, the expenditures for the preparation for the TCAP program over there?
Yes.
Well, do you have any idea ballpark what they're running up to now?
I can get you those numbers.
That's okay, I'm just curious.
I don't have them in front of me today.
I should have already asked you.
Yeah, I would have had them, but yeah, it's a pretty simple. I'll send those out to you.
The difficult part's going to be to keep their power separate.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah,
we get
power
one bill,
is
and they have
very
phase 3
I
electric.
reckon something about those tangible
Mhm.
things that we can see that's been done to it.
Yeah. Primarily what we have kept separate are the actual, the building, the wall, and
Yeah, right.
those
That's
expenditures.
more what I'm concerned with.
Yeah, and we do have those. It won't take me just a very small amount of time, and I'll email you those this week. Well, property tax, we're kind of in the middle. We're between, we've pretty much collected, I mean, there's a few trickling in, the delinquent, but we're pretty much done with last year's, and the others haven't gone out yet. So we're in that lull in between.
But we did pretty well. We didn't get lots of delinquents.
Actually, this year, I think our delinquents were down, and I think a lot of that is due to some efforts that they'd done in the past of
Pretty much so.
collecting,
Collect.
yeah. And turning them over, that's a key, is getting those turned over. Those turned over to the county on a timely basis, which has been done. I know for the last 2 years, and I think it's been done for the last 3, anyway, that those delinquents have been turned over.
Other questions? Chair, entertain a motion to accept this report, please. Motion to accept duly made, is a second?
Second.
Second. Cranberry, further discussion, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign, and the report has been accepted. Item 8, the monthly report from the city manager.
Mayor and Commissioners, I take all the monthly reports that come to me from the department heads and then create the state of city from that, and it will be available September 1st and online. And still working on it right now.
Questions for the city manager about anything? No, sir. All right. Any special reports from other city departments or committees without? Have anything from there?
There are not any special reports, wastewater or the gas system, but I did inform all of you that as far as our funding and long-term loan, we're looking at the state's next fiscal year starting October 1st. So we're waiting a little longer than we anticipated for the funding package, but if you think about it, it's a month and a half away, so.
Item 10, new business. Number A, ordinance 2017-1007, first reading. An ordinance to amend ordinance 2017-1005, said ordinance appropriating the revenues and expenses of operating and maintaining the departmental functions of the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2017, and ending June 30th, 2018, providing an effective date.
Mayor and Commissioners, I think we talked about this at the study session last week. Our building planning and codes department is just covered up. I think last month in the report you'll see 51 property maintenance code violations. We've got 7 buildings about to be demolished on Bluegrass in Maine with orders for others to be demolished, and we just need help. That office has been staffed by 2 people in the past, and right now it only has 1. So we are wanting to add a part-time position in that, and we've added $20,000 to expenditures in that particular budget. We've not amended the revenue expectations at all. We've just added $20,000 to the $133,000 budget to $153,000 budget.
We're gonna be fine, like we said last Thursday, right?
Yes, but we still see there's still additional monies available there. We're just asking for the 20 to be transferred. This will be the first reading. If there's anything that needs to be changed, we can change it, but I think we're fine going into the second reading.
Later, I'll make a motion in favor of ordinance 2017-1007, the first reading.
I'll second that.
All right, the motion has been duly made and seconded. Is there further discussion about this? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign, that motion is unanimously passed. Next is ordinance number B, is ordinance 2017-1008 on the first reading. An ordinance amending water and sewer rates for the city of Mount Pleasant, Tennessee as set forth in Schedule A, Section 18-125 of the Mount Pleasant Municipal Code.
Mayor, if you don't mind, I'll make a recommendation. I'd like to make a motion that we defer this until we can get a little more study done on this. I'm certain we can probably do this at our next study session. Kay and Loretta can provide us with some other communities so we can look at what their current rates are so that we're not out of line, but yet we're getting in line with where we need to be. I'd like to make a motion.
Mr. White made that motion to defer this ordering on first reading. Is there a second to that?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion?
I have a question for you, with it, and so I understand, because I think
Sure.
I'm in agreement. That, make sure that we don't have to do it again,
You got it.
going up high enough.
We're doing it
Like
one
we-
time and we're
And this is
being,
not
Okay.
impacting individuals' water rates or
Right.
sewer
Yeah,
rates.
yeah.
It's more cap rates.
But make sure we're in
in line
line with what the other communities do,
Yep.
and so we don't have to come back and do it again. Okay, thank you.
All right. No further discussion. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those disagree, signify by saying aye also, and that motion is passed. Thank you. So we'll see this one again next month.
Yes.
Item C, ordinance 2017-1009, first reading. An ordinance requiring all the leagues affiliated with or using Mount Pleasant Park and Recreation Department facilities to execute a league charter and abide by code of ethics.
Mayor, members of the commission, we're accomplishing a couple things with this ordinance. We want to make sure that we have all the background of the coaches that are involved and that we have the right coaches for the right leagues. We want to make sure that we are actually adding a 10 per registrant charge to this to assist us in maintaining the field. So we are charging we charge nothing right now. So we're charging a $10 a head per person, and then we were doing background checks, and we are requiring coaches to sign a code of ethics, understanding what punishment is if you do not follow this code of ethics. So it's accomplishing several things, and with all the things that we have going on, probably a little bit overdue. And we're doing it in the form of an ordinance because there's money involved, and I think, Corey, you felt that it was something best to do via ordinance. Yeah.
Because you're putting restriction, or because you're potential fines on people for if they violate their code of
Yes.
ethics.
So this here is being changed from resolution 2017-27 to...
Yes.
Okay.
Because of what you just said, we have fines, we have fees, and whenever there's fees involved, we usually have the commission approve that.
Okay.
So you're good with how this is written? I'll make a motion to accept.
A motion made to favor of. Second, duly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Like sign, that ordinance is passed. Item D, Resolution 2017-26, a resolution adopting the City of Mount Pleasant Park and Recreation Strategic Plan.
Mayor and Commissioners, on Thursday night, Thomas presented the strategic plan for the Parks and Recreation Department. We had Gerald Parrish from the state here, George Ogden. I think they did a great job in participating. I think this is a huge first step in our newly created Parks and Rec Department with our new director that's now been here for a year, Thomas. And he's been through the evaluation process with me, and we've shared all that with the state. And as you heard them say, that what we have here in our strategic plan really means nothing if it's not adopted by the City Commission. So it's in front of you to adopt as a resolution.
Make a motion to accept as presented.
Motion to accept as presented. Second? Duly seconded. Any further discussion? Okay, the chairman.
I guess one other thing, Mayor, I guess is what was said, with Mr. Parrish. I guess it's not what we want, but and that's what I'm going about, what the people want.
And I'd also like to, Thomas, for this, being here just a year and getting us into gear to get this done, because it was a tremendous organizational thing to get us into
Both
gear.
Thomas and Donna Morency.
And the rest of the people on the committee to get us an action.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'd like to thank that group as well, because how are we going to get there if we don't have a plan? Thank y'all very much for doing that.
Okay. Chairman, entertain a motion, please.
We got a motion and a second.
I'm sorry,
We just
I
need to
lost
vote.
track. I'm reading
Sorry,
ahead.
we talked.
I'll work with you.
We will. It's been a while, Jack.
All right, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those like sign, that plan has been adopted,
You
please.
had to put up with me twice to this.
Item E, approval authorizing the execution of a lease purchase agreement and delivery of police equipment.
Mayor and Commissioners, this is a little bit of a strange thing, that we're just asking you right now to approve the quoted terms on authorizing the mayor and the recorder to sign the agreement when it's provided. They will not provide the agreement until they have the commission approve the term agreement, and that is a single sheet in your packet. And it would it come back to them next month? It'll come back to you next month. If it's approved tonight, we'll take the next step with the leasing company, and it'll come back to you in the form of a resolution next month. So that last line on action need, and just, we're asking for a motion approving these quoted terms and authorizing the mayor and the recorder to sign the agreement once we get it. And these are for the 4 new Police vehicles, we talked about the fact that we were going to be surplusing several that are on the lot right now with high mileage. If there are any other questions that weren't answered Thursday, we'd be happy to entertain them.
My only question about this would be, these proposed lease rates are not guaranteed. It's an approximation from what I'm seeing here, so. Bill, what do you see in the financial world? I know it's everybody's a shot in the dark, throw the dart.
No, these are very competitive. I looked at them since we did our study session, and for a lease back to a city, they're very competitive. On the 3 and the 4 year, they're very competitive. The only question I ask, Michael, as you might ask, is, can we get these under a tax equivalent rate? You just might ask that question, because if so, it would narrow it down just a touch.
The Mayor, I'm sorry, that once we do sign off on it, they are set.
Right, but my only question is you might just get this provider to ask if there is a possibility of a tax equivalent rate. And I'll tell you what that is they can loan us the money at a lower rate, okay? But what they do is, then the company that's doing this, then they can recoup what the interest spread would have been by their savings on their sales tax. So you just might ask, the rates are already low, so it's going to be, but if we save 40 basis points, it's 40 basis points.
I think everything.
Yes, and that's the only thing I ask, is you might just ask that. They may not know what you're talking about, okay?
Well, somebody will.
But somebody within that organization will know that, because that's what they do. I mean,
don't know, but I'll ask.
they're a lease company.
When you get him on the phone.
So this, if approved tonight, will be back on the agenda again in September.
Okay, we take no action on it tonight.
No, we do want to go ahead and pass a motion approving these quoted terms.
You're giving him you're giving us the authority to move forward with.
Just to move forward, it's not
move forward.
executing anything. It's not really worded exactly right, then, is it?
It is,
We're not.
We will be.
We're not authorizing the execution of the lease, because we don't have the.
That's
We don't have a lease before.
That's
you're
correct.
approving the quoted
We
terms.
need to say that was,
You're approving the quoted terms.
And we haven't even insisted on our financials yet.
Here it is on the
It's just the
bottom.
first step.
We haven't even filled out an application yet. We
Right.
just need permission to proceed, to get to that point.
I saw that, but I still have a little problem with that. Working with some things get lost over the years.
But I'm just asking what we're making a motion on. I'm agreeing with you. I don't know what we're making a
Well,
motion
We need to make a motion to
Just two.
approving these quoted terms, authorizing the mayor and recorder to sign the agreement when it's provided, and it will be back in front of you.
Okay. Does everyone understand what we're doing then as far as the motion?
I do, and the only thing that I would say in that again is just ask. I mean, these are very competitive,
Oh, yeah.
okay?
We will ask, for sure.
All right.
40 basis points on $100,000 is money.
I will take note.
Chair, we're going to take a motion in to approve this.
Make a motion that the commission will pass a motion approving these quoted terms and give them the authorization to further investigate them.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Duly seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Unanimous, motion is passed. Item F, approval write-off utility bills list.
Mayor and Commissioners, you have a list that was handed out to you, just reminding you that that's proprietary information. If you refer to anything on there as a question, use the number and not a name. And this is years and years and years of not writing off debt. So if it's over 6 years old, if it's, I want to say it right, we can not put in collections if it's over 6 years old, and a lot of what you're looking at is over 6 years old. And it's not all necessarily bad debt. It could be just something that there was a water leak and there was an adjustment made, but that number is still on our books, and we can't take it off our books until we get permission from you to write that off. So it's not all necessarily bad debt. But we're cleaning up years and years of not bringing this in front of the commission. We plan to do it in the future quarterly, so it would never develop to a list like this.
Our plan is to keep these updated and then, like I said, and present these every quarter and with follow-up. We also will be placing some of the ones that you do not see here, but that are over 180 days. Our next step is we'll be placing them with collections. I did want to point out too, there's one, the very last page, there's write-off and counts that you got Tech Collect, and I know that this board was not here when that company was used. That was a collections company that was used in the past, and apparently the company itself went under. The bad debt.
Time too.
Yeah. And they did not, some of these people, they actually had collected on, but the city did not receive the funds that they were supposed to have.
Now, how do we, when you put this out for proposals, it has to be out for bids, when you pick.
For collection services?
Yeah, it would be a professional service. So they'll probably take bids on it versus.
I think they did. That was before I came on board. So I think that they did send out proposals when they
But it
initially did that.
does that be a bid or does that be a proposal? It's
It
not
could be a
professional services.
No, but it can be a sealed proposal. You can do the request for proposals.
And we're using
Press
who right
release,
now?
Fox Collections.
What's the difference
Well, the difference
in
is,
tax? I'm talking about our, well, I guess Corey didn't, but,
this is utilities.
that's what I'm saying, but what's the, I mean, if our attorney wanted to do that,
There's nothing that says that we can't, there's nothing to say that we can't put this out for bid now. It probably needs to be done, because I
that's
know
what
it
I'm
hasn't
saying,
been
but
done by
our
attorneys.
taxes, it does not have to be put out for bid,
That's
No.
because they're attorneys.
You do that to the attorney.
And that's professional
If
services?
she accepts that,
Yeah.
I guess we'll work a contract with her to
Right.
do that.
And that would come before the commission?
Yeah.
Yeah.
LBC, we said.
Yeah, she did 10 years at a time before, so she's got a little bit of experience with that.
And I think we talked the other night that we realized that we need to adjust, rework our particular.
Yeah, I think that I may have left you with the wrong impression. We do send out, we send our procedure on deceased utility bills, is that we send out the bill, and we attempt to make those first attempts to collect. If it's left unpaid, we do not, according to our procedures and our policy, we do not turn over those deceased.
For the estate of.
Right, to collection.
That's our policy, that's something that we can bring forward and
That's
But
okay.
we can
change.
bring forward you change.
We don't have to turn those over to a collection agency, but Corey, you can get a lien against the estate for that amount, can't you?
Right.
For little or no cost, basically.
What I'm saying,
All you
some
do
of
is
them
write
are,
a letter to
but
it.
then, that's something you probably, we can come back to
Have a year to do
you.
it.
I think it would be a good idea to come back in a study session and look at those policies, revisit those.
Yeah, I agree. I just think, there needs to be a threshold if you're gonna file
That's what
back
I'm saying,
against
you need a
the estate.
threshold.
You
But
can
some
wind
of
up
these are
spending
very
more money than
small.
you're gonna get out of
Yeah.
it. So you set you a threshold so you're not spending bad money trying to get good.
Is there a time on
Well,
it?
we can,
And
we
you see,
can
it's not gonna
criticize
work.
it. None of y'all were here to do this. This is appalling to me as a business person.
Oh, man.
That we have let this much money get away from us. It's really inexcusable. Some of you never would have gotten, but some of, I see people on that list that their families would have paid that.
Yeah,
that.
absolutely.
And they're here.
It's, it's always when somebody can't pay it. And you would have to work with that, but, I think we do definitely want to look at that. I definitely want to look at it. Can't speak for these guys, but I definitely want to see it.
I do
I
too.
agree.
I have one, and I should have asked this last Thursday night, but I have, when you brought up the fact that these are all of these that we're writing off, so to speak, all of these are over 5 years.
These old ones, yes.
Yeah, otherwise they could put them in
So the
collection
200.
The others going to collection.
Some number are all over 5 years.
over 6 years.
6.
Okay.
Like you were, six. Anything under 6, and I had 4 different people in my staff look at these lists. I had Kelly took all of the, and all these services are terminated. So I had her start out with that. That's where she started with, was the terminated list. And she worked backwards and she come up with the list, and we had each one of our customer service reps up front. The three of them looked at it, went over the list. We actually found probably 15 or 20 that are not on this list, that we had on the original list, that we were able to find accounts that had multiple properties, and we were able to transfer them to new accounts. So we've already made great progress in just getting a lot of those where they were just sitting there in an account, not being filled, just sitting there. We've moved them over into accounts where we can actually collect and are active accounts. So therefore, if they don't pay this, their service can be terminated.
Hey, I got another question, if you don't mind. So we're saying that all of these are over 6 years?
Not all of them are over 6. Some of them, the deceased ones are not.
I'm sorry, okay, I agree, all right. Do we, or could you please provide, not just myself, but I think the commission might like to see this, could you please provide us with a listing of those broken down by the ones that are due 2 years out, 3 years out, 4 years out, 5 years out, and then the ones just before they're going to be charged off? Because I have a concern here. I mean, we're getting ready to write off a significant amount of money for this city, okay? I want to make sure we're staying, because I think y'all are doing a great job, and I want everybody in the audience to understand this is not what these folks have done at all. As you can tell, this is over 6 years old. But I think we all need to be in tune, because I'm just concerned now is how much money are we owed right now that's 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, or 6 years that we could be working on now that might make a difference coming back to us. I'm concerned because of this number.
I do know that just before I started, they did a write-off at that time.
And this really scares me.
And when we took these over, well, when I started, they were still on the system. So we went through and took all of those off that were previously on the old list. How old those were, I have no idea.
I understand it, but if we could just see that number so that maybe we could start working and getting a little ahead of this so that we don't, because per your policy, we're going to start seeing this quarterly, okay? And I highly think that's the best thing we could do. But I'm like the mayor. I'm going to tell you, when I saw the list,
What is the policy on cutoffs for our gas and water and sewer?
If it's not paid that month.
I can tell you.
28th of the month.
28th of the month.
We have a cutoff list.
It's around the 25th to 28th, they send out a cutoff list, and we send folks out to cut them off. And if you come in here, just come in here one of these days and talk to these ladies, and you may get some frazzled looks, because those days get very hairy.
I'm sure they do.
Yes.
And there's times that it is very disturbing to me that people's services have to be cut off, but we always need to be
You have.
in a position to accommodate people that are sick.
And we have all kinds of
have-
services of help, and we lead them
Right.
to that direction where they can get help.
And that's part of, we give to South Central Resort, or South Central. And they do.
Our ladies up there are very helpful, and because I'm one of those people who forget and have gotten a phone call or a letter, and both our power company and our water. If you go up there, and I've heard them working with people and that, and to find in that. So the people that are not, but I'm like, Bill is, when I saw that list and saw some of the names on the list, I said,
I'm
there's
wondering
something
how
wrong.
that could be, some of that could just be a one-month thing.
Some of them are not one month. Some of them are minimum bills for quite a while.
So why would they not?
Why were they not
Why would
already?
their service not just discontinue it completely and they wouldn't be getting a bill?
After a month, yeah.
Right.
They could have cut them off and put them back on and not collected the prior. I
Well,
mean,
there
we
is
had a lot of
there
areas
is
where they didn't have
reconnection.
deposits.
There is a reconnection charge?
Yes.
How much?
25
25?
for residential, yes.
Or you have people who reconnect their own. And they go out and get- You did?
There's not a real good history of how it was handled in the past. We just
No,
know those
I
are
agree.
okay.
I mean,
No.
that's what's at issue right now.
That's, yeah, and it's,
I just want us to try to get it right as we move forward.
Yeah, and that's why, before the disconnect list, it's approved, those are every month.
Okay.
I think what's important is, I think we as a group stand behind y'all doing that. We have to get something on.
Further discussion on that?
Just want to add that the largest ones on here, the two largest ones on the last page, those were both bankruptcies that we did not have deposits on, and shame on us.
And
We
you
have
corrected
deposits on
that now.
everybody now.
You corrected that.
And a couple of them are still in business, Tom.
Back in business,
Yeah.
filed bankruptcy and came back, and
Yeah.
we didn't collect, yes.
That's
But we do now.
kind of disturbing me, that's not people that have a hardship placed on them.
Right. No. But that won't happen again
Absolutely.
right now, the way we have it set up.
I make a motion that we approve the write-off of the current list, but that I also beg that we start working on a new policy, that we start seeing some of those numbers a little sooner if we could, please. And y'all are just doing your jobs, and you're doing great. But I just would like to try to help stay ahead of the game a little bit.
Commissioner White's made the motion to approve this list. Is it second? Duly seconded. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Motion passed unanimously. Item G, authorize the Mount Pleasant Civitan Club to build a shelter in Arrow Mines Park.
Mayor and Commissioners, on a much lighter note, we have an organization that has taken a real interest in Arrow Mines Park. If you've been by there lately, there's new grills that have been put in. We're working on picnic tables and basketball goals, and all of this has been to little to no expense by the city, but the Civitan Club, and I think Mr. Brooks is here, they want to build a shelter in Arrow Mines Park, and you all should have a letter in your packet that the shelter would be approximately 20 by 40, be paid for by donations solicited by the Civitan Club, and I don't know if you'd like to have Mr. Brooks speak, but that,
Yeah,
brought that letter in, and the commission needs to
I like
approve that.
Mr. Brooks, he's pretty bashful. I'd like him to come forward if you would. Tell us a bit about it.
Wait, that must be another Mr. Brooks.
Come on up, Vernon. Yeah, come on up here with
Must be his brother.
Everybody can hear. Honorable Mayor, esteemed members of the Commission, Madam City Manager, I didn't come to make a speech tonight. That's my speech. Jim has known me a long time on the County Commission. He knows that I can get along. The idea of a shelter in honor of Willie Baker was conceived about 3 months ago, and we were going to put the shelter at William Spring Park. It was brought to our attention about 3 or 4 weeks ago at the Civitan Club that the Arrow Mine Park, south of Columbia here, needed a lot of things. So we, as a club, did get 2 grills, and we have the backboards of the basketball court refurbished and 2 new goals placed on. And We got to talking about maybe what we needed to do would be put that Willie Baker shelter in this area for these people and serve them over there. So we got the basketball goals up and everything refurbished, and Stacy Joe Hellner called me on Sunday evening and said they're having a basketball game and a cookout and a barbecue. About 7:30 I drove over. I never saw a lack of people in my life, and they were so thankful that someone had taken an interest in this park area. And we as a Civitan group are small. In fact, throughout the United States and all over the world, we have small Civitan groups, 15, 20, or something like that. But all of us have learned how to delegate to other people. When this was conceived, I went to Ella Chavers, Willie Baker's sister, and talked with her about the park, and she was just really enthusiastic about it. And then after this came up, I went back and told Ella what we were thinking about, and she really was enthusiastic about that. So she already has a long list of people who live out of state that they know, and she's going to be talking with the church people, trying to get donations for this shelter. It'll cost approximately $20,000, but that's not a lot of money considering that Mount Pleasant Civitan Club and the Columbia Civitan Club went together and spent $43,000 on the handicap playground in Murray County Park. Jim remembers when we were trying to get that going. I thank you for your consideration and certainly hope you will approve that, and we will do a lot more over there at the park than just that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, is there any questions, something you'd like to ask about that? That's fantastic.
I'd like to thank them.
Yeah, we have a couple of great board members that this commission's appointed, the Hildner School from the Planning Commission and the Recreation Commission, that are out there pouring the concrete, doing the work themselves. It's really a lot of sweat equity in there.
The picture for that, where they were playing basketball, has been sent to Michael Haywood as well, so he'll probably be putting that in the report and putting it up on the Facebook page. So it's probably the first time that park's been used like that in probably years. You know, and just, it was, you know, trying to bring lively back to it. It was great to be able to have the Hildners involved in it. They came to me and they wanted to be, you know, want to kind of help get a park going with a Civitan Club, and so we got lots of progress down there that's going on. We still got a lot more that we want to do to it, so it's coming along. So it was really neat to see all those people out there, though.
Farrell may remember this. You remember the night that the Reverend Greenfield came before this body asking could he keep his hogs there? He was one of the nicest men I've ever known in Mount Pleasant. I'm not sure which church he was with, but we had to tell him no, and that like broke my heart. It just hurt him so bad because he was against the ordinances to have that. He was such a fine man. I don't know where he was eating them himself or selling them or what he was doing, but he sure didn't want to give up his hogs, and it hurt me.
We ended up buying property from him in that southern, that's taking care of the hogs.
He did have somewhere else. Do you need a motion for this?
All right, the chair would entertain a motion, please, to authorize this to occur.
I'll second it.
Motion duly made and seconded. Further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Motion is passed unanimously. Okay, that gets us through our business. We have general comments from citizens. Has anyone signed up? Okay. Marcia Armstrong, those at 785 Redwood subdivision. Well, that's actually, we call it Mount Pleasant. If you got Columbia, we're going to say Mount Pleasant. Marcia, for those of you who don't know her, she was a very distinguished teacher at Mount Pleasant High School for many years. She was my son's 10th grade English teacher, And he told me, Dad says she is so hard, but she's so good.
Principal there, too.
And then she
She's
went to
my
Spring
boss.
Hill. And you went to Spring Hill from there, and assistant principal there once. Then we kind of lost out with you after that. But we're glad to have you here tonight. And
Glad to be here.
okay.
Good evening to all of you. My purpose for being here this evening is to give two items that I would like to comment about, but actually those two items will end basically the same way. When Johnny and I and our family moved to Redwood approximately 38 years ago, there was a tree in front of our home near the road, and it was a very small tree, and we questioned the city as to whether that tree belonged to our property or whether it was the city's. And we were told at that particular time it belonged to the city. As the tree grew, it seemingly became our tree, according to the city. And eventually it reached the point that it was way, way out of line. It was a cottonwood tree. About 5 years ago, we had someone to come and trim our trees in the front yard. And I asked him, will you go with me before the city and ask about this tree to see if we can get the city to cut it? And he would not do it, but he gave me the name of someone who could. I called that person and was never able to get a definite answer. And we just sort of drifted along until Commissioner Granberry became one of you, and Johnny talked with her in the spring, I believe, at the hospital where he does volunteer work. And he gave her the circumstances. We were afraid really that the tree was going to do damage to not only the electric wires but also someone's home, whether it was ours or the people, our neighbors across the street or those beside us. And Commissioner Granberry said, I'll take care of it. And I believe it was a couple of weeks afterwards she came to our home, said your tree is going to be cut and the street is going to be paved because the street had also started to buckle as a result of the roots. And it was maybe a week or so that she was able to get it done. So I'm here to thank her specifically and thank all of you generally for allowing that to take place. And actually something else needs to be done to the tree because it's coming back. Really doesn't want to stay gone very long. On the second item, on July the 16th, my church, St. Ruth United Primitive Baptist Church, located in St. Ruth, had our 100th year anniversary. And the week prior to that, I had gone to the Daily Herald and asked them about publishing a brief history of St. Ruth in the paper, and they agreed to do it. And after it was there, I thought, well, maybe I should try the city commissioners, and maybe they will come. So I was able to talk with 3 of you anyway, and I realized you were busy, and I waited until the last minute to make that invitation, but I did it anyway. And Mike Davis, Commissioner Davis, came and was with us that morning. I hope he enjoyed the service. The food, basically, we had a good time, a spiritual time. So again, it's to thank you generally because I know you all knew about it, but to thank him specifically for coming. May I approach?
Yes.
Now, Commissioner Davis already touched on these, but these were our favors from our anniversary.
Make a motion.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, is there anything else we need to discuss tonight?
I just wanted to let each of you know I put actually a hard copy of our zoning map in front of you for you to decorate your homes and bathrooms with, but you all have one now. It's a very hard file to send electronically, but you do have one. Corey, you have one as well.
I guess, Mayor, some of the things you know that you talked about,
Yes.
and I hope if we do get involved and it's not another year or two, before something is done. And I know a couple of them I actually thought about, and that was the street aid for lights. And I would like for us to go into detail on that next month, and also on Mr. Carroll's part. I really would.
I want to make sure I understood that. What, on the street lights, we want what?
On the street aid, we're getting the street
Right,
aid.
street aid,
Yeah, and I'd like to sort of get that straightened out, I guess,
Have you had any more discussion with Derek, when we just mentioned that to him, and he said he would give it some thought?
Mhm.
I'm not sure he can get, what we can do, but we need to look at it somewhat. And get something going forward with that, and all those things that I said, I even left out a couple of them.
We can bring them up at work, the next work session.
These are, you're right, and, we don't have to do all these things, may not be able to, but we can pick the ones that y'all think are the most important and get them started and go through that, and it won't, cost as much money to talk about them, so.
We can add some of our own.
Absolutely, yeah, I think
There's
all
some
that.
good ones on there.
But I mean, yeah.
The top are the ones that cover the most people.
Yeah.
So
Are you
we're
wanting
making
to-
the most significance we can.
There were
I mean, I want to pay the rate really badly,
Yeah.
but.
Are you wanting to look at
Yes, I did.
The mayor said that today at the mayor's meeting, he'd like to pay the
And I know that there's only one street in Mount Pleasant that we can pave, because that's the only street that we got that doesn't have, that doesn't have some kind of bad stuff under it, that, the sewer or the water or something's
Ask
going
Steve
to
what the state told him about the concrete they keep pouring, and we keep tearing up. What they told him that we keep tearing up.
Are you wanting to look into LED lights? Are you wanting to look into LED street lights, or?
Just something where we will have to quit spending money, to me, that I think is dedicated for what it says. It says state street aid fund, be spent on our streets.
Our lights
How we gonna pay for our lights, I don't know.
Well, our lights should come under the part of our taxes.
About 84,000, 90,000 a year.
I mean, that's what,
There's something to look at.
Yeah.
But it's,
We turned them off here once, so that won't be, it won't be the first time they've been turned off. They turned off in the 80s. Every other light from the airport all the way out to the city limits, there was turned off, but West TVA. And we're not gonna touch the subdivision, they said. I got the letter, I looked at it on TVA.
I remember that.
Then they came back and said, well, we're going to have to get into the subdivision
Are we
too.
turning them
And
off
that's when it really got bad.
Are we turning them off Monday for the Eagles?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, you work on that weekend,
They're gonna come on. That was just
Probably
a
gonna
thought. On that note, and thank Ms. Armstrong for coming and noting this on communications, because that's one of the things Jim is stressing, using our communications. I don't know who's doing it now, but it's really good, the notices that go out through our email. And if we can encourage more people in the community to get on our email alert, because we don't use it necessarily just for emergencies, but to get information out. Just things like that for a community, that a church that's having something that affects the whole community, to invite the things that we're having on the square. That's something we're doing. And if you have something to contribute to the Arts in Mount Pleasant newsletter that goes out, to get it to Ms. Morency, things like that. Michael Christian's doing a great job of our PR in here in Mount Pleasant and Facebook with that. To let it know it was really good at the mayor's meeting today, to hear the good things that people said, not just what Kate and Mayor Bailey had to say, but that the people in the community were nodding their heads because we are becoming a positive thing about the good things that are happening in Mount Pleasant. Yeah, we still have a sewer problem, everybody knows that, but we're overcoming that and going on in spite of it and not ignoring it, but acknowledging and looking at it. So, good things are happening. That's all.
Any more comments? Chair, can I have a motion to adjourn, please?
So moved.
Moved, duly second, all in favor, say aye. Thank you.
You did the same. Appreciate it.
Oh, and you read it?
Yeah.
That's great to have it.
That's all right.